Thank you so much indeed for your time, Rania. When was the last time anyone was in touch with people on board those vessels?
As you know, I think so we still have several vessels that are en route to Gaza. So communications has been off and on. Some of those boats that we still know are en route, we have lost communication with as well. So it's just been off and on for several hours now.
Do you know how that first boarding of one of the boats of the flotilla happened? Were there warnings? Did people on the boats see the Israeli naval ships approaching? What were those moments like? Do we have the details?
We have some details, as you may have heard, and obviously things are a little bit spotty because one of the Israeli government's favorite things to do is to jam communications and cameras and things like that. So we do have some information. We know in that first boat there was a communique from one of the Israeli naval vessels saying that the boat was in Israeli waters, which we all know is absolutely absurd and ridiculous because Israel has no jurisdiction over those waters. And one of the members of the boat responded saying, reminding them that they have no jurisdiction over those waters. This is a peaceful humanitarian mission to deliver food and baby formula and aid. And that was one of the last pieces of communication from that boat. And then, like I said, they have, as they've done with many of the boats and for decades now before in previous flotillas, they've jammed the communication. And we lose camera and we lose ability to communicate at that point.
Yeah, let's call it out, okay? That's an Israeli lie. The boats were 130 kilometers away from Gaza. That is not Israel's territorial waters. So that is quite clearly, as you pointed out, not the truth. What do we know about the vessels that are still heading towards Gaza?
We know that some of them are as close as 25 or so nautical miles away from the coastline of Gaza, which is obviously incredibly close, and many things can happen in the meantime. But they are also spread out, so they're not all in the exact same locations. They're not exactly the same distance away from that coast.
Rania, what about the politics of this situation? And the flotilla is just kind of caught in the middle of what appears to be almost a double standard. Let's go back to the moment that those boats were boarded. In Copenhagen was the head of the EU's European Commission. There was the Danish Prime Minister. There was Ursula von der Leyen was there as well. So we had the two main EU leaders plus the Danish Prime Minister. All three were asked by a journalist at their joint news conference, do you think what Israel is doing to the Gaza, the Global Sumud Flotilla is an overreaction? They all walked away. One of them said no comment. And look at the way they're treating Russia's attacks on Ukraine compared to Israel's attacks on Gaza.
No, it is in the U.S., and I think even around the world, but in the U.S. we call it the Palestine exception. Everybody is all about humanity and human rights, and they bang their chests and bang the drums of all of humanity, except for when it comes to Palestine and Palestinians, and we're seeing it play out in real time. And even in this, obviously we're in the midst of an atrocious administration in the United States, but even in the previous administration, I'll never forget one of the cabinet members, a side-by-side video when they were talking about Ukrainian children who had been killed. He was brought to tears. When we talked about Palestinian children who had been killed, he shrugged his shoulders and said, that's the cost of war. Imagine that kind of inhumanity. We're talking about children being literally intentionally starved to death. And they're trying to stop this, again, peaceful, nonviolent mission from delivering aid, from basics, from things that, frankly, every other country in the world should be doing and demanding. And it's up to civilians from all around the world to come together and board these boats and leave their families and leave their jobs and leave and put themselves in harm's way because our global leadership has failed humanity. And that's what we're seeing right now. That's what's happening right now today.
Rania, while you're talking to us, we're seeing pictures of those on board these vessels having Israeli soldiers pointing guns in their faces. They must be so scared. What was the legal advice given to everyone before they boarded one of the flotilla's boats about when they were going to be detained, because everybody kind of expected it? Are they going to accept the charges Israel will place upon them? Because apparently they have to accept those charges, as our correspondent was telling us, to then be deported.
Well, they don't have to accept the charges. They can, and I think you, or maybe it was the previous anchor, was talking about they can. You can also go through the court process, which obviously is not a fair. We know Israel is not known for their fair judicial system, but they don't have to just accept the charges, which is where we're so grateful to Adala for representing all of these brave men and women who are aboard these boats. But to your previous question, every single person on every single boat went through extensive training, lots and lots of drills, even as they were at sea. Every time they docked, lots of drills, lots of training on de-escalation, on nonviolence, on how to. I mean, you see, if you kind of look at the video footage that we do have, you'll see all of the passengers and the crew on the boat with their hands in the air, so everybody can see. They don't have their hands on anything. They don't have anything in their hands. It's all part of the training. And you're exactly right. I mean, tell me why these people boarding the boat with these machine guns have to point them in the face. There's baby formula on board. There's food. There's aid. And they need to point their guns. I mean, and it's just so ridiculous and so disgusting. And also, I have to say it, so par for the course for the state of Israel. As was previously said, also, this is not new. None of this is new. These flotillas aren't new. And the fact of the matter is, even before October of 2023, around 500 trucks of food and aid a day needed to go in. And now the Israeli government is patting themselves on the back for about 60 or so trucks a day, which is wildly inefficient and not anywhere close to what's needed. And frankly, I think they're probably lying about those 60 trucks a day as well. And then you have just the reality of children trying to go get water and food, and parents and getting shot and killed just trying to feed families. It's really a massive stain on the global community.
Rania, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, because this is